now transcend samsara, this life of suffering and the constant birth in these different realms that we've been doing, again, since beginningless time. We've been living in samsaric existence that has known suffering at various levels. Sometimes great suffering, sometimes not so great suffering, but suffering nonetheless. Even in the God realms, the so-called God realms that the Buddha taught about, you have all of your needs taken care of. You live very blissfully and happily, but at the end, your next incarnation begins to dawn upon you. You begin to lose your brilliance as a deva, and your skin begins to wither. The things around you begin to smell. It's fraught with suffering. When you have everything and then you know you're going to lose it. So for a while, the gods are long-lived. They live very peacefully, happily, but there comes a time when samsara takes its toll. There's no escape. Buddha has transcended and gone beyond samsaric existence. So in order to turn the mind towards the Dharma, we contemplate this fourth foundation. So we should contemplate this foundation until we come to a deeply felt sense that attempting to win lasting happiness by indulging in samsara is like trying to lick honey from the blade of a knife. We may gain a moment's gratification, but the cost is more than we are willing to pay. We should come to a deeply felt sense that the path of enlightenment and awakening is the best use of our energy and of our life. Contemplate the suffering of samsara, the unenlightened life. We contemplate this foundation until we deeply feel what this is, what samsaric existence consists of. The constant struggle for gratification. We constantly strive. This is the desire realm. The human realm is known as the desire realm. And we are filled with desires for this, that, and the next time, and the next thing, constantly spinning our wheels. But when it comes time, there's nothing that we're going to be able to show for our existence except the nature of our mind and the quality of our understanding and view. So we come to understand that. These are the four thoughts that turn the mind to Dharma. And these are the things that we should, when we sit, we should reflect upon before we even begin our practice. If there's one thing that I've heard continuously from students is that I really want to meditate and I just can't do it. I can't find the time. I just can't do it. Contemplate these four foundations. Think about this precious human rebirth. Think about impermanence. Think about the law of karma and the unsatisfactoriness of samsara. My hunch is it will help you to turn your mind towards the Dharma and establishing, at least beginning to establish a regular practice. Again, for the twofold benefit of benefiting yourself for reasons that we've been discussing, and ultimately to be of real value for others. I was asked to teach the Tonglen instruction again, and the Tonglen instruction really is, we start with the four thoughts that turn the mind to Dharma. We sit doing our Shinei practice, and then we do Tonglen. So all these things go together. Although we said, there's the practice of Tonglen on the cushion, there's also the practice of Tonglen off the cushion, where you can Send and receive. Remember, Tonglen means sending and receiving, so that's the Tibetan word for sending and receiving. But sending out kindness, generating love and compassion, all that is good, helpful, healing, love, and taking in all of the negative habitual patterns that we have created that create suffering for ourselves, sending out this positivity as a white light that surrounds the person, and immediately they become Buddhas, totally transformed and awakened, taking in all the things that keep them from the realization of awakening, and as a kind of a murky, smoky color, sending out that brilliant white light again that transforms them into the Buddha that they really are. Taking away on the inhale all the things that prevent that, giving out all the things that manifest that. In a nutshell, Tonglen, but we'll do that in greater detail in just a little bit. There are a couple of questions that came up at the break. I invited all of you to go to the Chenrezig practice that's at 7 o'clock here, and to experience that. Some of you are new. This is an introduction to Buddhism, so the tantric or yidam practices such as Chenrezig may seem definitely unusual and foreign and different. But how many of you have attended something like that? I encourage you again while you're here, if you have the opportunity, to go to the Chenrezig practice at 7 o'clock. And so when we say these mantras, we evoke the energy of these different deities. It has a particular quality. Chenrezig, this aspect, Om Mani Padme Hum, compassion, loving kindness, that is expressed through the visualization that you visualize yourself as Chenrezig. And so you let go of your own little ego self and take on a new personality, the one you really are, a Buddha. And that's the difference between all the paths and Vajrayana, where you assume the identity of the deity. You become that. And you do the activity of the deity, radiating loving kindness, compassion, in the form of light rays to all of the 6 realms through these different colored lights, radiating it out, giving all these beings compassion, loving kindness, removing their suffering, just like we were doing in Tonglen to a certain degree, through this activity of Chenrezig. So you're building up this visualization, visualizing Chenrezig, white forearmed, holding a rosary, which means he's praying for all beings, and all the different aspects of this iconography represents aspects of your own mind. And so as you study this, you're reading the text. In the beginning, it's very difficult. Not only is it difficult reading the text and trying to do this visualization, but it's in Tibetan, which is making it a little more difficult. Some teachers are now teaching more in English, and you may come across that. This tradition is still in the Tibetan, but as English speakers, it's kind of hard to chant Tibetan, read the English, do the visualization, it can be misunderstood, by Westerners. So some education in both the particular deity that we're talking about and in Vajrayana in general is certainly appropriate. So we are letting go of this small self-ego that we've so come to love and cherish, and transferring that to a deity such as Chenrezig, embodying the qualities of Chenrezig and sending out those qualities for the benefit of beings. This is real. This is more real than being who we think we are. But it requires some practice. It requires some time in the art. So initially, when you first hear it, it's going to seem very bizarre. But the Vajrayana tradition is the quick path. It is said that you can achieve enlightenment in a single lifetime by practicing these techniques, is because you see yourself and all other beings as deities, which they are, but we don't usually have that view. So this is more real than the reality we think we're in. We're obscured by our delusions, our ignorance, our habitual patterns. So we take a little time to disregard those and become a Buddha through the practice of the deity yoga or the Chenrezig practice and the various other ones that are taught here, Tara and Mahakala, which follows right after our evening session, our afternoon session. So it's right in the room next door, so you're welcome to attend that. So the next time you come in contact with a puja, as they're called, it's not so weird. Are there any other questions?
When you were saying like that we should see people as Buddha, what does that mean? Having all these positive qualities, or?
Right, you're seeing through the illusion of who they think they are to their Buddha nature. And ultimately that's our destination. That's our birthright, and we will end up that way sooner or later. Hopefully it's sooner.
Okay.
But we keep heaping these negative things on us. That's why we if we follow the teachings, we follow the method, we follow the map, we'll get to the goal. If we don't, can't guarantee it. More cycling, Yes, please.
As we grow in these teachings, and we're still surrounded by our old family and friends, and we may not, there may be some negativity, there are some actions that that we would rather not be surrounded by, but they're our old family and friends. How do we take that in? Is that Tonglen?
It can be Tonglen, but it's the practice of the paramitas that we're talking about, the virtues, such as patience, such as generosity. Mm-hmm. And again, generosity takes a lot of form. Generosity may be with a sick person, giving your time in that way, not just giving things. Patience means, enduring a certain negative thought because of their own ignorance. What you're seeing is their own neurosis or their own lack of understanding. So you can't help but have compassion for that individual. It's easier, if we see someone, who's limping around or has got their leg in a cast, we know they're suffering. But, someone who's angry with us and we see their aggression, their hostility, we immediately take effect from that. But that's just a symptom of their own sickness and their own neurosis and their lack of understanding. And it's really something we have to see with compassion, loving kindness. Not that we're going to, be a holier than thou kind of thing and convert them into something that they're not ready to do, but we see it objectively. They don't want to be that way. It's creating more suffering in their lives. We know that. And so we extend an open heart to these people, not take effect and counter their aggression with aggression. That is probably not going to lead you very far. And anger is one of the things that really is exhausting. It really exhausts your good karma, and it exhausts you physically. When you get into a conflict or a contradiction, immediately there's a loss of energy.
And it's not just anger, it's also about how they are, but it's abandonment, a feeling of a desire to abandon.
Abandon them?
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's why we have a Sangha. So you can come to the Sangha to get nourished and be with people, like-minded people. It's very important in the beginning, particularly when you start your practice, that you surround yourself with like-minded people, because it's hard enough. But if you have people who are in constant contradiction with you and disagreeing, and it's easy to lose your momentum. It's easy to lose your focus and your direction. That's really the purpose of the Sangha. That's why we take refuge. Not in anything other than the Buddha as our teacher, the Dharma as the path, and the Sangha as the community of teachers and friends that can help us along the path.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. I struggle between, being Buddha-like and being a doormat. Where is that line? Yeah,
you're not a doormat. but it is a matter of skillful means. It's important to honor yourself as well, and not to be abused, and not to abuse. This is very different, being a doormat, and so we take ourselves as Buddhas. We understand that other people may have a difference of opinion and are sick. That's what we compared, the Buddha's teaching to, we understand we're sick. There's a medicine. We have to take the medicine, and then we get the result. Some of those people who are treating you in this way are sick, but you take yourself out of that situation.
By?
Leaving it.
So just leave it as
Leave
is.
it. I mean, that's the most expedient thing to do. If you're in a relationship that is in that situation, either temporarily or permanently, if it's really an abusive situation. No, the Buddha never said you have to be abused. But being skillful, I mean, there may be a way that you can see this objectively and clearly and not take effect from it. I mean, this is all part of our development, as bodhisattvas, is that your view, having the right view. It's when you say someone is abusing you, maybe our ego gets hurt, maybe we've been ridiculed. What's being ridiculed? Who's being ridiculed? Your self-nature is empty. There's nothing for you to stick to,
Yes.
So we just see it, for what it is, without judgment. Opinions are a dime a dozen. Everyone's got one. You're going to hear good things. You're going to hear bad things. But
Okay, thank you.
you've got to be a receptor for that abuse in some way. You know what I mean?
In talking about working with someone that sends you lots of hostility, is it sort of along the path, I guess, acceptable to practice loving kindness towards that person privately? If you can't yet,
Sure.
if this person is sort of in your
Whatever
life,
way you can do it.
That's along
And
the path.
then, that's on the cushion. Then off the cushion, it's going to be easier for you to see what's going on there, to see beyond the aggression, to see beyond the particular habitual pattern to the Buddha nature, which we all have.
But in the interim, you can avoid them
You can avoid
while
them.
you're working on.
And that's probably the best thing to do, so you don't put yourself in a situation where you're generating a lot of negative emotion yourself. That's really why we're doing the work, Ultimately, we can only be successful when we're Buddhas. We do the best we can, but we don't know really what the cause of our, or what the outcome, the result of our actions are going to be, even when we think. And hopefully, we definitely don't want to have the intention to do harm. But even when we have the intention to do good, we don't know what the outcome is going to be. But cultivating this aspect in the Vajrayana of seeing through this facade of this individual who's approaching you with whatever negative habitual pattern is up at the moment, seeing through that, seeing through the illusion of that, and being again unmoved, stable, just sending out loving kindness and compassion. I also teach Tai Chi, and it's like 4 ounces that can move a ton. You're just getting out of the way of that.
My question was on attachments and how do we live in both worlds when you do have a life, and it seems that earthly life does require that you have some of these attachments and still seek enlightenment.
Well, as we were saying, some attachments are better than others. There is a hierarchy of attachments. So, as we were saying, maybe an attachment to your guru or your spiritual teacher is important at some level. Attachment to the vows that you've taken in refuge is important. But there is a long line tradition in our lineage, of householders. Bhatta Tukul Rinpoche is a householder. He has kids. He has a family, wife, and leads a life of a householder. Yet, is one of the foremost teachers in our lineage, and somehow has balanced the worldly with the spiritual. And that's the question: how do we balance our work and our rest, our spiritual and our worldly? We've been given some tools. And to be sure, if you can spend some time in your spiritual practice, your sitting practice, it's going to make your family life better in terms of how you manage your own life, how you respond to your kids and your spouse, and just making more harmony, loving kindness, peace, compassion, love in your house. And how you do it is a very personal matter. As we were saying before, when you do it, whether it's morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you have 15, 20 minutes, half hour, whatever that is. As we do these 4 thoughts, we come to the conclusion that yes, we are going to add this for the benefit of making the best use of this precious human existence, this precious human life. Then we begin to practice. And that practice tends to grow. Those around us will benefit from that practice, as you will benefit from that practice, and then it'll continue to grow. So as we were saying about distractions, there are a lot of them, but still within that, to find a period of time where you can detach yourself. So when detachment takes a lot of different forms as well. It doesn't mean you have to be a renunciant and live, in a cave. As we said, there are some people who have very little that are very attached to the little that they do have and are vigorously attached, and there are those who have a great deal of wealth and circumstance and power and are not attached. Yes. I don't know too many of those, though.
Well,
Yes.
I don't know if this is relevant for other people or if it's just my personal problem, but I seem to have resistance to doing this Tomlin thing, whatever you want to call it.
Tonglen thing is fine. We know
Oh,
what you
okay.
mean.
I don't know. Thought maybe
Just
you
look
could
at
give
your
me some
resistance.
pointer.
It's just another thought.
It's just another what?
Just another thought. And we label it resistance. It's no better, no worse than any other thought. And you just keep doing it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thanks.
We attach ourselves, think some thoughts are better than others. I'm resistant. Big deal. It's just a thought. It comes, has its moment, gone. Then you're into it a little bit, and then you're resistant a little bit. Or, it's so myriad. The mind is so facile. It can go from one emotion to another, one thought to another. The parade is endless. They're all empty. All of them. And as you sit and practice, then you come to that realization, as I was saying before. If you're in a bamboo grove and you slice a piece of bamboo and you see it's empty, you don't have to slice the whole forest down. They're all empty. Any other questions? So hopefully at this point, we do have some tools to work with. We've established some parameters here of a Buddhist practice. We've talked about setting up your shrine, and I encourage you to do that when you get home, so you actually have a place to go. That's your sacred space, and you can have whatever those items are on your shrine that help facilitate that mind set towards turning the mind towards the Dharma. You have a practice to do, the Shinei practice, the 4 thoughts that turn the mind to Dharma, the Tonglen practice, And always conclude with your dedication of merit. Dedicating the merit of your practice for the benefit of all sentient beings and their ultimate awakening. So I think we did pretty good in this period of time. We got a good overview, yes.